Have you ever been around someone who seems to drain your energy the moment they walk into the room? Someone who always stirs drama, manipulates your emotions, or leaves a trail of confusion wherever they go. Unfortunately, evil isn't just the stuff of myths, monsters, or movie villains. It exists all around us, sometimes in subtle, hard-to-spot forms. That's what makes it so dangerous. Evil rarely announces itself. It doesn't come dressed in black robes or with glaring red flags. Most often it hides behind charm, helpfulness, or even apparent vulnerability. But with a little awareness, you can begin to recognize the patterns, the subtle behaviors, and most importantly, you can protect yourself. Evil people don't need horns or tails. Their intentions reveal themselves through their actions. They manipulate. They destroy trust. They twist your kindness and use it as leverage against you. The good news? You don't need to be a master psychologist or detective to recognize them. Ancient Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca left us timeless wisdom to help navigate these toxic energies. In this guide, we'll uncover 10 warning signs that you're dealing with an evil person, starting with one of the most dangerous of all. Number 1, constant manipulation. Seneca once said, "He who has many fears also has many things to manipulate." This isn't just poetic philosophy, it's a chilling truth about how manipulators operate. Evil people are often masters of psychological warfare. They twist reality, distort facts, and prey on your insecurities to create doubt, confusion, and dependency. They don't seek truth, they seek control. Let me share a personal story. Years ago, I worked with a colleague who, at first glance, was everything a team player should be: complimentary, supportive, and attentive. He made sure to praise me in front of others, casually mentioning my potential to higher-ups. It felt good, like I was finally being seen. But slowly, strange things started to happen. He began correcting my work in private, not in a way that helped me improve, but in a way that made me feel incompetent. He would casually point out tiny flaws to management, making them sound far more serious than they were. He made himself look like a concerned mentor, someone trying to help. And I began to wonder, was I underperforming? Was I really this flawed? That's the trick. Manipulation doesn't feel like an attack. It feels like concern, like guidance. It's subtle, and that's why it's so effective. This is how manipulators operate. They confuse you until you start questioning your reality. They twist compliments into control mechanisms. They isolate you emotionally by making you doubt others and yourself. They position themselves as your only ally, subtly undermining your confidence until you feel you need them. A virtuous person doesn't do this. A truly good human being empowers others. They support your independence, not your dependence. They celebrate your autonomy, not try to insert themselves as your only source of wisdom. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That means you must be grounded in your own values, your own truth, and your own clarity. If someone constantly tries to reshape how you think or who you are, under the guise of help, you must pay attention. Here's what to look for. Do they dismiss your boundaries? Do they correct you in private but praise you in public? Do you feel mentally or emotionally drained after interactions? Do they make you feel like only they understand you? If the answer to any of these is yes, it's time to step back. The antidote to manipulation is awareness. When you understand that their behavior is not about you, but about their need for control, you stop internalizing it. You stop letting it define your self-worth. You don't need to fight, argue, or justify yourself. Just stop playing their game. Take a step back. Reclaim your mind. Reclaim your peace. Because peace is power. The Stoics teach us that we are not in control of other people's actions, but we are always in control of our own responses. You don't have to fix them. You don't have to confront them. You just have to stay rooted in your own clarity and walk away when something starts stealing your joy. Stay tuned, because in the next section, we'll explore another telltale sign of evil, how they use charm as a mask. You won't want to miss it. Number 2, a mask of charm. Epictetus once reminded us, appearances, no matter how dazzling, often hide the truth beneath. This is especially true when it comes to charm, the kind that feels almost too perfect, too practiced, too strategic. Have you ever met someone whose presence felt magnetic? Their smile lights up a room. Their words are smooth and comforting. They seem to know exactly what to say to make you feel seen, appreciated, even cherished. At first it feels magical. You think, finally someone who truly gets me. But then something small nags at you. Maybe they say something that doesn't quite match the moment. Maybe they're too quick to flatter, too eager to please. And when you take a step back, you start to wonder, is this real or is it a performance? Charm, when it's sincere, is a beautiful thing. It opens doors. It builds bridges between hearts. It can deepen connection and inspire trust. But when someone with ill intentions wields charm, it becomes something far more dangerous. It becomes a mask. These individuals don't use charm to connect. They use it to conceal. Beneath their warm smile and eloquent words may lie selfishness, deceit, manipulation. Their goal isn't closeness, it's control. They charm to disarm. Marcus Aurelius warned us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. That means no matter how beautiful someone's words or actions may appear, if their thoughts are rooted in self-interest or cruelty, it will eventually seep through. And it always does. Watch how they treat others, not when they're in the spotlight, but when the audience is gone. How do they behave when there's nothing to gain? Do they treat the waiter with respect? Do they speak kindly of those who aren't around? A person's true nature is never revealed in the moments of applause, but in the silence that follows. I once had a friend who was the epitome of charm. He made everyone feel like they were the most important person in the room. His compliments were endless. His attention felt genuine. But over time, I noticed a pattern. When he had what he wanted from someone, he withdrew. And often he'd speak cruelly about the same people he once praised. It became clear, his charm was never a gift, it was bait. So how do you break free from their enchantment? Trust your instincts. If something feels off, even when everything looks perfect, pay attention. Don't dismiss those quiet whispers in your gut. These individuals thrive when you ignore your inner warnings. They want you to fall in love with the image they've created, not the truth they're hiding. Stoic wisdom teaches us that truth doesn't wear a mask. Real kindness is quiet. It's steady. It doesn't need to be adorned or exaggerated. So when in doubt, look past the glitter. Look for substance. Because genuine goodness never needs to perform. And once you start seeking what's real, you'll never be fooled by the fake again. Number 3, lies without conscience. Marcus Aurelius once advised, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. A simple rule, yet a powerful one. For people of integrity, this is common sense. But for those with malicious intent, truth is not a compass, it's an inconvenience. These individuals don't lie out of ignorance or by accident. They lie with purpose, precision, and intent. Their words are tools, crafted not to inform, but to manipulate, to control, and to deceive. Lying for them is not a lapse in character, it is their character. Consider someone you once trusted, someone who seemed confident and competent. Maybe they told you about a project they led, how they single-handedly saved the day, took charge, and made everything work. You were impressed, maybe even inspired. But then you found out the truth. The project was a group effort. They played a minor role, and the credit they claimed belonged to others. When you questioned them, they didn't apologize. Instead, they twisted the narrative. You must have misunderstood, they said, or worse, they accused you of creating drama. Suddenly, you were the problem, not the lie. This is the subtle, corrosive power of the pathological liar. These people don't just lie to you. They lie about you, around you, and through you. They create confusion so you no longer trust your own memory or instincts. That confusion becomes a breeding ground for control. The Stoics teach us to observe reality, not what someone says, but what they do. Truth is consistent. Lies crumble under pressure. Watch for the cracks. Do their stories shift when questioned? Do their actions contradict their promises? Are they always the victim or the hero in every tale they tell? Lies require constant maintenance. Truth stands on its own. To protect yourself, trust your observations. Set clear boundaries, ask hard questions, and don't settle for vague or evasive answers. Your peace of mind is more valuable than someone else's illusion, and if the dishonesty persists, walk away. As Epictetus reminds us, keep your will in harmony with nature, and nothing in nature tolerates a poisonous vine strangling the tree. Your clarity, your integrity, your inner peace, they're worth protecting. Don't let someone's lies unravel your truth. Number 4, lack of empathy. Seneca once observed, "We are members of one great body, planted by nature. We must be helpful to one another." This ancient wisdom reminds us of something deeply human, our need for connection, for compassion, for empathy. Empathy is what binds us. It's the invisible thread that allows us to share joy, offer comfort, and feel understood. But for those with a truly malicious nature, that thread is missing or deliberately severed. For them, people are not companions, but pawns. Your pain is a nuisance unless it serves their purpose. Your happiness is insignificant unless it enhances their image. They are incapable, or worse, unwilling, to step outside their own narrow world of self-interest. And their lack of empathy isn't just a minor flaw. It's a gaping hole that reveals the emptiness inside. Picture this. You're sitting across from someone you trust. You've had a tough week, and you finally decide to open up. As your voice trembles with vulnerability, they interrupt. "Oh, you think that's bad? Let me tell you what happened to me." Just like that, your pain is dismissed. Your moment is hijacked, and instead of being heard, you're sidelined. Now, everyone has moments of distraction or self-focus. That's human. But with truly cold-hearted individuals, this is not a moment. It's a pattern. They consistently deflect, diminish, or mock others' feelings. They smile at your misfortune. They shrug at your grief. Their emotional detachment isn't just unsettling, it's damaging. Stoic wisdom warns us, watch the actions, not just the words. People lacking empathy may imitate compassion when it's convenient, especially when an audience is present. They may say the right things, but watch how they behave when there's nothing to gain. Do they extend kindness when the spotlight's off, or do they retreat into indifference? As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. In a world where some choose manipulation and selfishness, you can choose empathy, but protect that part of you. Don't give your emotional energy to those who refuse to reciprocate. What can you do when facing such emotional coldness? First, set clear, unwavering boundaries. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. You are not unkind for expecting respect. Secondly, seek out people who listen, who feel with you, not just speak over you. Build your circle with those who uplift you in sorrow and celebrate you in joy. Because empathy is not a weakness, it's your strength. It's what makes love possible, friendships meaningful, and life worth sharing. And when you choose to live with empathy, you not only shield yourself from the callousness of others, you create a sanctuary of truth, warmth, and connection around you. Number 5, the hunger for control. For truly malicious individuals, control isn't just a preference, it's a compulsion. It's the invisible string they try to pull, day after day, to bend the world, and you, into submission. Their hunger for control stems not from strength, but from deep insecurity. They fear freedom, your freedom, because it threatens the illusion of power they work so hard to maintain. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that is the very strength these controlling individuals try to erode. Because they understand a powerful truth. When they gain control over your thoughts, they don't just influence your choices, they take over your life. I remember someone I once trusted deeply. They came across as wise and composed, always offering guidance in a way that felt thoughtful. At first, I welcomed their input, but over time, I noticed a strange pattern. Their advice began to feel like quiet sabotage. They'd sprinkle doubts into our conversations. "Are you sure you're ready for that?" maybe it's better if I handle it, just in case you mess it up. Their words were wrapped in concern, but the effect was always the same. I felt smaller, less capable, more dependent. One day I was offered a role in a high-stakes project, something I had worked toward for months. I hesitated, and this person pounced on my uncertainty. They insisted I wasn't ready, that I'd fail, and it would reflect badly on both of us. Instead, they offered to represent me. I agreed, not because I believed them, but because I no longer trusted myself. That was the moment I realized I had handed over the reins of my life. People like this don't just want to influence your behavior. They want to own your choices, your doubts, even your victories. They use guilt, shame, flattery, and fear like chess pieces, positioning themselves as your savior, when in truth, they are the very source of your self-doubt. As Epictetus taught, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And those who seek to control others often do so because they have failed to master themselves. The antidote: awareness. Ask yourself, does this relationship honor my values, or does it make me question them? True strength lies in regaining authority over your own mind. Because once you see the pattern, you can break it. Controlling people fear your autonomy. They fear your confidence. They fear your voice. So reclaim it. Set boundaries. Say no when it feels wrong. Trust your instincts, even when someone tries to convince you they know better. You are not here to be someone's puppet or project. You are here to grow, to think for yourself, and to live from your own truth. Marcus Aurelius also said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." That means your thoughts, not theirs. Protect your inner world like sacred ground. Don't let anyone rewrite your story or steal your narrative. Those who genuinely care for you will never attempt to control you. They will encourage your independence, celebrate your growth, and support your choices, even when they differ from theirs. Because real love, real friendship, and real mentorship are rooted in empowerment, not possession. So hold your ground, guard your mind, and let no one dim the light of your free will. Because in that light is your truest power, and in that power, your freedom begins. Number 6, blame games and deflection. Seneca once wrote, "People prefer trust over judgment, and manipulative individuals know this all too well. They use it to their advantage, weaponizing our natural desire to trust others. Instead of taking responsibility when things go wrong, they craft elaborate stories that position themselves as the innocent party, always the victim, never the cause. These people don't just deflect blame, they master it. They turn every situation into a twisted narrative where someone else is always at fault. Their ability to spin events is unsettling, and they do it with such calm precision that it can leave even the most grounded person second-guessing themselves." Seneca also noted that truth stands firm without justification, while lies require elaborate stories to sustain them. Think about that. A truthful person simply states what happened. They don't need 1,000 words to defend themselves, but when someone is lying, they layer excuse upon excuse, hoping the weight of their words will disguise the lack of truth. I once worked with a close friend on a major project. We had shared responsibilities, and early on, things went smoothly. But as deadlines approached and pressure mounted, mistakes began to surface. Instead of admitting her oversights, she quickly pointed the finger at me. Gently, of course, and under the guise of constructive criticism. She'd say things like, "I just think maybe your system is too scattered," or "Maybe you missed some key details here, just a suggestion." The tone was friendly, but the message stung. Over time, I began to question my competence. Was I really the one messing everything up? Eventually, I recognized the pattern. Every setback was somehow tied to me, even when I wasn't directly involved. She never accepted blame, only redirected it. That's when I realized I was being manipulated, not through shouting or aggression, but through subtle psychological games. This is how emotional manipulators operate. They exploit your trust and empathy, making you feel guilty for their errors. They distort your perception of reality until you're carrying the weight of their failures. Marcus Aurelius offers a solution. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. This kind of humility is the mark of a virtuous soul. When someone refuses to take accountability, It speaks volumes about their character. So what can you do? Stay grounded in facts. When blame is shifted toward you unfairly, calmly revisit what actually happened. Ask questions, hold others accountable without being aggressive. Most importantly, set boundaries. Refuse to engage in their blame games. You don't need to justify yourself against falsehoods. Integrity is your shield, and those who truly respect you will take responsibility for their actions. Protect your peace and walk away from those who refuse to own theirs. Number 7, the pleasure of pain. One of the most unsettling traits of a truly malicious individual is the pleasure they seem to derive from the suffering of others. It's not always loud or obvious. It can be hidden behind a smirk, a passive-aggressive comment, or a moment of silence when support was needed most. Yet once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Epictetus once advised, associate with those who make you better. But these individuals don't want to help you grow. They don't want to build. They want to break. Their joy is rooted not in achievement or shared happiness, but in degradation and discomfort. It's a toxic pleasure, a cold satisfaction they feel when others stumble, falter, or fall. At first, their behavior may appear subtle, easily brushed off. A sarcastic joke when you're feeling low. A mocking laugh when someone else makes a mistake. A gleam of satisfaction when someone fails. But make no mistake, these aren't harmless quirks. They are indicators of a deeper, more troubling mindset. I once had a friend who loved sharing stories about other people's failures. She always delivered them with a gleeful undertone, as if their struggles somehow lifted her mood. One afternoon, a colleague of ours was harshly reprimanded in a meeting. While most people looked uncomfortable, she chuckled and whispered, "He had that coming." I dismissed it as indifference at the time, but the pattern repeated. She seemed most energized not during her own successes, but when someone else was knocked down a peg. Over time, I realized her sense of superiority came not from self-improvement or achievement, but from the crumbling of others. She used people's failures as her personal stepping stones, not because she was strong, but because she couldn't bear to feel small without making someone else feel smaller. Seneca once observed, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." But these individuals twist adversity into a weapon. They don't use hardship to grow. They use your hardship to feel powerful. Behind their delight is deep insecurity, a hollowness they mask by tearing others down. To protect yourself, Stoic wisdom reminds us to anchor in self-worth and be intentional with our associations. Pay close attention to how people respond to others' pain. Do they comfort or do they ridicule? Do they offer help or do they gossip and mock? The moment someone's joy depends on your sorrow is the moment you should step back. True friends lift you when you fall. They don't use your weakness as an opportunity to shine. Choose the company of those who celebrate your wins and stand beside you during losses. People who find joy in the success of others, not in their suffering. Because real strength is not found in dominance. It's found in compassion, in genuine happiness. It's never built on someone else's pain. Number 8, isolation as a weapon. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Human beings were made for one another. Teach them or endure them." At the heart of this Stoic wisdom lies a profound truth. Our greatest strength comes from our connections with others. We are not built to walk through life alone. Unity, shared experiences, and the support of those who care for us are not luxuries. They are necessities for a healthy, resilient life. But for malicious individuals, this natural bond between people is precisely what they seek to disrupt. One of their most subtle yet devastating tools is isolation. They understand that when you're surrounded by love and support, you're harder to control. So they begin to chip away at those connections, not with brute force, but with quiet manipulation. I once had a friend who, at first, seemed incredibly warm, thoughtful, and invested in my well-being. She'd listen closely when I talked about the people I cared about, then offer small, almost imperceptible critiques. "You know, your best friend doesn't seem to respect your time," or "I don't think your family really sees your potential like I do." At first, it felt like concern, maybe even protection, but over time, I noticed I was pulling away from the people I loved. I became more dependent on her voice, her approval, her version of the truth. It was only later that I realized how methodical her approach had been. Each subtle remark was designed to create doubt, distance, and distrust, until she stood at the center of my world, while everyone else was pushed to the sidelines. That is the power of isolation when wielded as a weapon. It severs your lifelines while convincing you it's for your own good. This is no accident. It is a calculated strategy used by toxic and controlling people. They plant seeds of insecurity, suggest hidden betrayals, and exaggerate flaws in the people closest to you. Their goal is simple. If they can isolate you, they can influence you. Once you're alone, they become your only source of validation and support, making you vulnerable to deeper levels of manipulation. But here's what they hope you never realize. True strength comes from community, not dependency. Real friends don't pull you away from others. They help you connect more deeply. They don't sow distrust. They build bridges. If you ever begin to feel emotionally distant from your family or lifelong friends, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, who benefits from this distance? Stoic philosophy teaches us that we thrive through cooperation, not isolation. Seneca once said, "No one can live happily who has regard for himself alone and transforms everything into a question of his own utility." Our resilience is born in belonging, in being part of something bigger than ourselves. So protect your relationships. Stay grounded in the people who love you for who you are, not what they can extract from you. And when someone tries to sever those bonds, recognize it for what it is. Not love, not care, but control in disguise. Number 9, jealousy in disguise. Envy, when hidden behind a mask of kindness, becomes one of the most dangerous forms of malice. Seneca once said, "Envy is the ulcer of the soul," and nothing erodes relationships more insidiously than envy disguised as support. What makes this trait particularly dangerous is its subtlety. An envious person won't attack you outright. They won't tell you they're threatened by your success. Instead, they'll wrap their jealousy in concern. They'll position themselves as your cheerleader, while gently tugging at the threads of your self-worth. I once had a friend who always acted deeply invested in my life. She cheered when I shared good news, clapped when I accomplished something, or so it seemed. After I completed a major project that I had poured my heart into, she congratulated me, saying, "That's great, but maybe next time push yourself a bit harder. You've got even more in you." On the surface, it sounded like encouragement, but the tone, the timing, and the delivery told a different story. Her words didn't lift me. They made me question whether what I'd done was good enough. This is how jealousy often operates, not with cruelty, but with calculated commentary designed to chip away at your confidence. Over time, you'll hear other remarks like, "You did well, but don't get too excited. Someone else did something similar and got better results," or "You're doing great, but maybe slow down a bit. Burnout is real, you know?" These aren't the words of someone invested in your growth. They're carefully chosen to sow doubt. A truly supportive friend encourages you to rise, not to shrink. An envious person, however, can't stand your light because it reminds them of their shadows, and so they try to dim it. Stoic philosophy urges us to trust our inner compass. If something feels off, even when the words are wrapped in politeness or praise, pause. Examine the source. Consider their patterns. Do they only cheer when you're struggling? Do they always have a subtle warning to add when you're thriving? The truth is, real encouragement comes from a place of abundance, not lack. People who genuinely care for you want to see you succeed, even if your success surpasses theirs. They don't feel threatened, they feel proud. To protect yourself, set boundaries. Don't allow someone to slowly erode your self-esteem under the guise of feedback. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your victories as if they were their own. People who remind you of your worth, not question it, because your light was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to shine. And those who are threatened by it were never truly rooting for you. Number 10, the unrepentant heart. There is perhaps no clearer sign of a malicious individual than an unrepentant heart. A person who refuses to acknowledge their faults, admit when they're wrong, or take responsibility for the harm they cause. Marcus Aurelius once taught, Don't waste time debating what a good person should be. Be one. But for those with a hardened heart, this wisdom falls on deaf ears. They don't seek to improve. They seek to justify. They don't reflect. They deflect. Think about someone you may know, the kind of person who always has an excuse. When they lash out, it's because they were provoked. When they lie, it's because you wouldn't have understood the truth. When they hurt someone, it's somehow always someone else's fault. I once knew a person like this. Every time their actions were called into question, they would immediately twist the narrative. "I didn't mean it that way," they'd say, or "You're too sensitive, stop overreacting." There was never an apology, never a moment of sincere remorse. Instead, there was a constant campaign of justification and blame shifting. At first, I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they didn't realize how their behavior was affecting others. But over time, it became clear. They knew. They just didn't care. What makes the unrepentant heart so dangerous is that it's not just about avoiding blame, it's about avoiding growth. To them, accountability is a weakness. Admitting fault is a loss. And so they double down, no matter how much damage they cause. Their pride becomes more important than the people they hurt. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength lies in self-mastery. That includes mastering our ego. A Stoic seeks to learn from their mistakes, to become better with each fall. But an unrepentant person will fall, blame the ground, and accuse you of pushing them. If you're entangled with someone like this, step back and evaluate. Do they consistently dodge accountability? Do they manipulate others into thinking they're the victim? Do they show any willingness to grow, or are they always right, even when they're clearly wrong? The danger of remaining close to an unrepentant person is that over time, you may begin to internalize their narratives. You may start to doubt your perception of events. You may begin to feel responsible for their wrongs. But you are not, and you don't owe them your continued patience. Choose to invest your time and energy in people who own their mistakes, who strive to make things right, who understand that humility is not weakness, but wisdom. These are the people who make you better, who bring peace to your life rather than chaos. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Don't let toxic individuals poison those thoughts. Protect your mind. Set boundaries. Walk away if you must. Because in the end, it's not about changing them. It's about choosing you. If you found value in these insights, let's keep the conversation going. Hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment saying, "I see the signs," to let others know you're walking this path of wisdom too. Protect your peace, honor your growth, and remember, the brighter your light, the more it exposes the shadows around you. Let them fear your shine.